What happens when corruption becomes the norm and honesty is seen as a threat? In a world where power is often built on deceit, how can integrity survive? And can society ever thrive when corruption is the priority? In a society where dishonesty, bribery, and manipulation are commonplace, those who seek to uphold honesty often find themselves outcast. But how did we reach this point where corruption is not only tolerated but prioritized? And why does honesty sometimes feel like a crime?
So, what do you think happens when someone in power acts corruptly?
I think, in my opinion, when someone in power acts corruptly, it can lead to a breakdown in trust between the leader and the people they are meant to serve. Corruption often leads to unfair practices, misallocation of resources, and decisions that benefit a few at the expense of the larger community. I think this can harm societal institutions, destabilize governments, and create inequality. Over time, corruption erodes the moral fabric of society and creates a cycle where bad behavior becomes normalized. For the people, the consequences can be tangible, such as poorer public services, restricted access to resource, or even the erosion of freedoms.
Okay. Do you assume that individuals are inherently corrupt, or are they corrupted by the systems they operate within?
Okay, so this is a very nuanced question. I think a lot of psychologists and even philosophers have thought about this, and many would argue that individuals are not inherently corrupt, but are influenced by the system and people and also structures around them. People often act according to the incentive, pressures, and cultural norm they face. Systems that lack accountability, transparency, or fairness can foster corruption by providing opportunities and motivation for individuals to act unethically. However, some would argue that the potential for corruption is part of human nature, and that everyone has a capacity for self-interest that, if unchecked, can lead to unethical behavior. In general, it's likely a combination of both individuals and also the system. But they also have personal agency that can either resist or give in to the corrupting influences.
Power often has its own logic, one that favors secrecy, manipulation, and deceit. When those in power are incentivized to keep the status quo, any attempt to challenge them is seen as a threat.
Promoting ethical behavior within government institutions is critical to reducing corruption. Ethical leadership is vital, with leaders at all levels setting a good example by consistently demonstrating integrity and following ethical principles to their decisions and also actions. This not only sets a positive tone within the organization but also encourages subordinates to behave ethically. Furthermore, public education and awareness campaigns are essential for cultivating a society that is fighting corruption. By informing citizens about the negative consequences of corruption and encouraging them to report corrupt activities, a collective effort can be made to deal with the societal ill. Empowering civil society organizations to actively monitor government activities, advocate for anti-corruption reforms, and raise public awareness about corruption is critical to increasing transparency and accountability. These organizations play an important role in holding government officials accountable for their actions and ensuring that the public interest is prioritized.
Why do you think some people in power might be tempted to act corruptly?
So, the concentration of power can create a sense of entitlement and the belief that rules don't apply to those in charge. This, coupled with the potential for personal gain and the pressure to maintain power, can lead to a slippery slope. So, the allure of unchecked power can distort one's moral compass, making it easier to justify actions that would otherwise be considered unethical or illegal.
So the next question is, what does honesty mean to you in the context of a corrupt world? And does your definition change depending on the situation?
So honesty. So honesty in a corrupt world becomes a beacon of integrity. So it means refusing to compromise one's principle for something like personal gain and standing up against just injustice. So while the specific actions might vary depending on the situation, the core value of honesty remains unwavering. So it is about being true to oneself and one's value, even when faced with adversity or the temptation to succumb to the corrupting influence around you.
In a system where power is maintained through lies, those who reveal the truth disrupt the delicate balance. The message is clear: honesty, in the face of corruption, becomes a form of rebellion. Strengthening institutional frameworks is fundamental to effectively combating corruption. Transparency and accountability are cornerstones of this effort. Robust mechanisms for public financial oversight, such as independent audits conducted by qualified external entities and the proactive dissemination of government financial information to the public, act as powerful deterrents to corrupt practices. By increasing public scrutiny and enabling citizens to hold their government accountable, these measures foster a culture of transparency and also trust. Furthermore, upholding the rule of law is paramount. Clear and unambiguous legislation specifically targeting corruption, coupled with an independent and impartial judiciary, is essential to ensure that those who engage in corrupt activities are held accountable for their actions. A robust legal framework complemented by swift and equitable justice sends a strong message that corruption will not be tolerated and reinforces the integrity of the legal system. Finally, establishing and promoting merit-based systems within public service is also crucial. These systems prioritize competence, qualifications, and performance in recruitment, promotion, and decision-making processes. By eliminating opportunities for favoritism, nepotism, and patronage, merit-based system enhance the professionalism and integrity of public service, fostering a culture of excellence and reducing the susceptibility of public officials to corrupt influences. By implementing these measures, governments can create a strong institutional foundation that not only prevents corruption, but also promotes good governance and also enhances public trust.
So, in your opinion, what are the immediate and long-term consequences of a corrupt system for individuals?
So, a corrupt system shatters the trust individuals place in society, leaving them feeling betrayed and powerless. In the face of unfair treatment, in the long term, it creates a cycle of inequality, trapping people, especially the most vulnerable, in poverty and stripping away their dreams for a better future.
So, the next question is, who benefits from a corrupt system? Who are the primary victims?
So, in a corrupt system, the ones who benefit are often those in positions of power, greedily exploiting the system for personal gain without the regard of others. The primary victims, however, are everyday people, families struggling to make ends meet, marginalized communities whose voices are silenced, and those who are denied fairness and hope.
In societies where corruption prevails, it's not just a few who suffer. Everyone is affected. Public services crumble, the economy stalls, and injustice becomes normalized.
To truly tackle this issue, we need to address its underlying causes, which means focusing on two main areas, which are reducing poverty and inequality and promoting good government.
When people are struggling to make ends meet and opportunities are scarce, they might see corruption as a way to get ahead. By working to improve the economy, create jobs, make sure everyone has access to education and healthcare, and provide support for those in need, we can reduce the desperation that can lead to corruption. Making sure that resources are shared more fairly also helps because it reduces the feeling that the system is rigged for the rich and powerful, which can also encourage corrupt behavior. At the same time, we need a strong, transparent, and fair government. This means having strong democratic institutions like independent courts and a free press to keep those in power in check. It also means making sure everyone follows the same rules and that those who are corrupt are punished. Finally, it's important to give people a voice in how they are governed. When people can participate in decision making, it makes things more open and honest, and it's harder for corruption to hide. By creating a system where everyone is accountable and information is readily available, we can make it much harder for corruption to take root.